We're coming around the raffle tickets, please buy as many as possible. We're doing the envelope draw. Do people understand what the envelope draw is about? No answers. There's a very, very simple form on your table. You pick the envelope up, you put some folding money in the envelope, you put your card in. Whoever gets drawn out is a guest for the Durham next year's gala. Like before, hotel, on the balcony, and please do that as soon as you can. We'll come around and collect it. You're going to be sick of seeing us because we want all the money off it tonight. Nobody gets out of here alive with everybody in the pocket. It's for a great cause. What we intend to do is have a brass band on the streets of London at the Carnival and a steel band on the streets of Durham at the gala. And we can only do it with your help. So please dig deep for the miners yet again, and for the people from the Mardghum community. We've got some really excellent auction prizes and raffle prizes to hit you with later on. Sorry, to introduce you to later on. So I'm glad you've all got set down. I'm hoping that you'll be able to get drinks served at the table for now, but until, if you've got to go to the bar, you have to go around to the left or the right, because the DJ has got the door blocked. Okay? And everybody here okay in the other end? Yeah? Alright. See you later. Thank you very much. We are asking members of Parliament to be so kind, we're going to come round and offer you a chance to become a parliamentary patron for the Miners' Gala. It's only £100, even Geoffrey Cox can afford that. We'll be doing the raffle later on. I hope that those who could attend have filled the envelope drawing. For those who need instructions, put some folding money in the envelope. If you have a business card, put your card inside, seal it, and put your name and contact number on the front if you haven't got a card. We do have card readers, so if you want any cash like the Queen, you can use the card reader, we'll take that off you. Shove it in and enjoy yourself. I'm going to ask my comrade Alan Mardghum, who's the General Secretary of the Fellow Miners Association, to speak to us tonight and give you a welcome on behalf of the miners. Alan.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks very much. Comrades, friends, first of all, on behalf of the Durham Miners Association, can I thank everybody for turning up. I know it's a massive upheaval getting from the northeast of England, getting from the northwest, getting from Yorkshire, getting into London, but you've turned up. You've turned up in your droves, and we really appreciate that. Thanks very much. I'd like to thank the parliamentarians who've turned up. Absolutely brilliant to know that we've got support within the Palace of Varieties, as Dennis Kinney used to say. And we need that support more than ever. Because the Durham Miners' Gala, which was first held in 1871, 150 years ago, was in danger of dying a few years ago. If it hadn't been for the likes of David Hopper and David Guy, that would have died. It didn't allow it to happen. The gala represents everything that's good about humanity. It represents loyalty. It represents empathy. It represents love and peace. That's what it's about. You see them banners marching into Durham, year in, year out, for the last 150 years. There isn't any words of hate on any of them banners, and people embrace that. And we're not bothered what colour you are, what trade you are, it doesn't matter to the Durham miners. We're human beings. There's one race, and it's a human race, and we want to embrace everybody from wherever they may be from. I'd like to pay tribute to people over the years who've made a tremendous contribution to the Durham Miners Gala. It means everything to everybody. Some people like the speeches, some people like the music, some people like the banners. Not to say the beer dealing, but it's all embracing, and it means so much to so many. 200,000 people marching on the streets of Durham means a hell of a lot. There's not another platform in the world could give our politicians, our Labour politicians and Socialist politicians, that type of platform. The Durham Miners does. And I'd like to pay tribute to people like Tony Benn, like Dennis Skinner, like Jeremy Corbyn, who attracted massive amounts of people into that gala in 2019. We need that type of fight. The Durham Miners Gala is about coming together. It's about giving people hope. It's about giving people a vision. And that's what we'll do. But the whole thing about this evening tonight goes even further than that. Because we're expanding that, or we're attempting to expand that. When you say two working class cultures, the Durham Miners Gala, which is predominantly white, because in the northeast of England, we haven't got a lot of BIM communities, we just haven't got that. But when we came down to London a few months ago, David Henderson, myself, Ross Ford, we came down, and we met people from the Mangrove and the Windrush generation, and we went to the Tabernacle and met people. The response we got was absolutely brilliant, and the idea was planted. It was Jeff Shears actually who said, can you imagine if we brought a steel band up to the Durham Miners Gala? And it, right, okay. And not only that, but we take a brass band, a Durham Miners brass band, down to Notting Hill Carnival. Wow. Jesus Christ, that means, tell you what, that is bringing two working class cultures together, and it'll frighten the life out of the Tories. And I'll tell you why. After the election defeat in 2019, I remember Michael Gove getting on the television and bragging in his inimitable way, saying, we know, we being the Tories, host the two biggest working class events in the British working class calendar, the Durham Miners Gala and the Notting Hill Carnival. Mary Foy went absolutely bananas. It was Durham Steel Labour. And if they, and on a serious point, if they still think, if Gove, after winning probably a landslide victory, if his only thoughts are the Durham Miners Gala and the Notting Hill Carnival, by Christ, we can give them a shot if we get together. And that's our vision. Many of whom are in struggle. We've got Unite in struggle. We've got, in various workplaces around the country. We've got Unison in struggle. We've got the Teachers Union, NAU, and the National Association of Schoolmasters Union Women Teachers in struggle, on strike. We've got RMT on strike. And facing a 600 job loss in London. Now we've got to stand together, and enough is enough. I'll not, and the Durham miners are upset, and the National Union of Mine Workers are upset. Job losses unnecessarily. Why should workers pay for the ineptitude of the bosses? We're sick to death of doing that, and we stand, the Durham miners, I haven't mentioned all the unions, but the Durham miners unequivocally stand shoulder to shoulder with all our friends, our brothers and sisters who are in struggle. Hope you have a lovely evening. Thanks for listening to us. Enjoy the rest of the night, and I'll get round the road and speaking. Thank you. Cheers, Alan.
I deliberately tried my best not to mention any names, because if I mention some, I would certainly miss others. But one particular union I am going to mention is the FBU, who have always been big supporters of the miners. And one of the things what we try and make sure happens is when the brass band from Durham comes down to London, that they play a concert at the fire brigade, at the fire station that was the first one to respond to Grenfell. And we've done that with the support of our next speaker, who was Yvette Williams. Yvette Williams is the leader of the Justice for Grenfell campaign. Yvette came and spoke at the mini gala we held in Durham this year, when the gala's at the council, and she set the place on fire for the almost. I use that term, I'm very clever, wasn't doing that. But I've never been more instructed. Anyway, Yvette has been a campaigner all life, worked in the legal system, but absolute campaigner for justice, and a really, really decent woman. And she will hopefully be one of the speakers at Durham next year on the second weekend of July. Yvette, it's all yours. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. I've put many hats on. I've got the MARRA badge on, proud to be a MARRA. I'm here with Mangrove Community Association this evening. And I'm also, as Dave said, one of the coordinators of Justice Grenfell campaign. Both Mangrove and, I can't see, my glasses don't function.
Well, I got the torch saying the microphone's there.
Arrested in North Kensington. North Kensington is in one of the richest boroughs in Britain, and yet still, in 1970, we see one of the worst near miscarriages of justice when 9 people from the Mangrove are charged with riot because Frank Critchlow, a Caribbean restaurant owner, is terrorised by the police on a regular basis. When they protest against police brutality, they end up on trial at the Old Bailey, okay, on the highest charge of riot. And I just want to say to you this evening, of the Mangrove 9 that went on trial, and that were all acquitted of riot, might I add, 2 of the women are living, the only 2 women, Barbara Bees and Althea Jones. And at this point, I was supposed to say, Althea would be with us tonight, but she is called in, she's not very well, but she sends her love and her solidarity. And actually, Alan mentioned when he came down to the Tabernacle to be with us, and he was lucky enough to hear Althea speak on that evening. And she is the most powerful speaker up to this day, in terms of race and class being intrinsically linked, and we should never forget that. That is what we stand on. Those are the 2 things that we are exploited on the most, and we have to keep up the fight against that. Many of you will have seen the Steve McQueen adaptation, Small Acts, of the Mangrove 9 trial. And in there, Althea's character says something really powerful. She goes to a factory in Southall, and she says to them, I am a member of the UK Black Panthers. But today I have come to you to tell you that you need to join a trade union. And it's really important that unions and communities come together again in a real way and stand and fight against those who keep us down. So what joins Grenfell and Mangrove today, apart from their geographical space? One is the Mangrove community complained against police brutality and the way that the criminal justice system treated them, and still do today, and their complaints were ignored. In the same way, the former residents of Grenfell Tower made complaints about the refurbishment, and they were ignored. They were also both scapegoated as troublemakers and agitators, and we can't allow that to happen anymore, because what we do is we ultimately either pay with our liberty or we pay with our lives, and that is still going on today. Someone's going to call out to the fire brigade union today. We've spent time in our community trying to explain to them the difference between the London Fire Brigade, the employer, and the fire brigade union, who represents the workers. We can see government going through the inquiry at the moment, making excuses and excuses, making a poor apology today for what they may have covered up or been laxed with in terms of allowing a building industry to become corrupt. But there's also other things that they put in place, and it's across successive governments. Things like the continuous kind of privatisation of our public services. We see it most incredibly under COVID, where we have care homes that they care no more about. And we've moved from a welfare state to a careless state, because once our services that we so desperately need go into the hands of private enterprise, our lives don't matter to them anymore. We get a poor service with no accountability, and that is something that has to change. And I'm going to say to each and every individual in here today, whether you're a member of the union, whether you're a member of the community, we should all be outside the inquiry standing up for the fire brigade union and not let them be scapegoated as workers who go out to do a job one night that the government has messed up in terms of supporting those that make profit. So I met Dave through Ibrahim's Kebab Awards, and let's give a big thank out and call out to Ibrahim, whose restaurant we're in tonight. But we found out that we had so much in common. I grew up in Birmingham, and I grew up in a place called Saltley, and I was able to tell Dave about the Battle of Saltley Gate, because I witnessed it with my father, who was actually a British rail worker, so my mum couldn't understand what on earth he had to do with the miners in terms of coming out and supporting that strike. But through that conversation, we worked out that we have more in common than we have in difference. And that's why we retweeted Mary Foy's email when she sent it out. And Mary Foy's email said, actually, I'm the MP for Durham where the gala happens. And by the way, you're not invited, ever. #full. But we were suspicious of why Gove wanted to let anybody either. I'll also say, on the way, we drove past Barnard Castle, and I'd like to let everybody know David Anderson's eyesight is perfect. So I'm really looking forward to the exchange. I'm hoping to see everyone either at the gala or either jamming in the streets of Carnival with the Mangrove coming there. Some members of the steel bands are going to be playing a bit later on if you didn't hear them at the beginning. And I'm saying to the young band players, always wear the Mangrove t-shirt with huge pride, okay? You stand on huge shoulders. Lots of energy. And to everyone else, we are stronger together. Let's always remember that. We're stronger together. We've got to keep fighting. But more importantly, let's stand together and fight to win. Thank you.
no doubt the city of Durham, where the gala's taken place. This would have been the 150th year when the gala would have took place. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it didn't. But as we've heard, Mr. Gove thought he was going to take Durham over. Well, he's got another thing coming. And this woman will make sure he never takes it over. Mary Foy.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for asking me to speak. It's a huge honour to represent the City of Durham in Parliament, and it's a huge honour to have my office in Red Hills. Well, we've just moved out temporarily, but that's a huge honour because Red Hills we've got the historic, amazing building in which the DMA reside. And I want to thank the DMA for the project that they've got going to renovate Red Hills, to create a new educational, conference and cultural resource for the labour movement and for working class communities across the North East. I live in Durham, but I'm from Jarrow. I was born in Jarrow, and my dad didn't work in the pits, he worked in the shipyards, although a lot of members of my family were miners, so we have those stories of the tragedy and the hardships that many mining communities faced. But I think it's that broad industrial history that shaped our towns and our villages and our cities, and indeed our culture and our politics. Now, sadly, we saw the Tories in 2019 making gains in Durham in the general election, in some of those former, the so-called red wall seats. And the Tories and the Liberal Democrats have also taken over control of Durham County Council for the first time in 100 years. So we have a huge task ahead of us. And as we've heard, the Tories have become a little bit too cocky. You know, when Michael Gove said what he said, I'm sure that was very deliberate, to say that they have now the seats in Notting Hill and the places of the Notting Hill Festival and the Durham Miners Gala, because these are both fantastic examples of the celebration and experiences of working people and the traditions of our diverse communities. And I'm sure Michael Gove and the Tories thought they were so cool to think that they'd won those seats, you know, because obviously that's what they want to crush. They want to crush our solidarity. But I must say, Durham and the wider North East has suffered from decades of deindustrialisation and decay. We've been neglected, there's no two ways about that. And that's reflected in some of the anger and the demoralisation of people in the North East, which led to the loss of the red wall seats. And it didn't happen overnight. This has been happening for many, many years, and the Labour movement need to wake up to that. Labour has no automatic or ordained right to win in our communities. We have to convince people that a Labour government is for them. We have to offer policies and a vision of hope again, new investment, new jobs, new opportunities. So I'm so pleased that we have here tonight the trade unions and the politicians, because we can win again. Labour can win again if both wings work together and campaign together. You know, the Labour movement was created through an alliance of socialists and of the trade unions, and that's our strength, and we need to build on it. And the DMA was built out of the struggles of mine workers. Sadly, there's no pits left now, but there are different jobs, different industries, and different challenges and different opportunities. And if you come to Durham, you'll see in the market square a statue of a man on a horse. He is, he is the Marquess of Londonderry, and he and his family got very rich because of his role as a mine owner. In 1884, he issued the infamous Siam letter, which threatened shopkeepers and traders who offered credit to the striking miners. And he said that he would destroy their businesses. And he was also utterly outraged at the idea that there was proposed legislation outlawing the use of children working in the mines. That's how such historic wealth was built. But he's gone now, but his statue still remains in the market square. But instead, we've got one of the richest people in the world getting rich from the people of Durham. We've now got a large Amazon site. And we know that the unions here and across the world, including the GMB and Unite, have battled to get access to workers and to get recognition. And I do note the initiatives of Unite the Union to announce that they're building the international union cooperation on this actual issue. And those are the struggles of today, and those are the struggles of the future. And we need to build again and renew our movement based on these current battles, but always remembering and learning the lessons of the past. As the DMA motto says, the past we inherit, the future we build. So we're raising funds tonight. To support the work to link up the traditions of the Durham Miners Gala with the brass bands and the traditions of the Notting Hill Carnival with the steel bands. And I think that's absolutely amazing. It's a great initiative to actually use music and culture in building solidarity. And especially around the terrible tragedy of the Grenfell Tower fire and the community that was so devastated by it in North Kensington. And we have seen these issues raised at the gala by the Fire Brigades Union just 3 weeks after the fire, and also again in subsequent years. And you know, during the miners' strike in 1984-85, similar links of solidarity were built, and our environment towards the refugees and the migrants. All they're doing is fleeing. They're fleeing from war, persecution, and you know they're risking their death in the English Channel, trying to reach us for a safe haven. So we can never rest. The struggles we have to be refought, and the lessons have to be relearned. And that's nothing new. That's always been the case for those of us who want change, who want to build the power of working people. So have a great night, and the struggle continues. Thank you.
One more, Mary. Before Mary goes, and unfortunately it says in the back room, I'm really sorry, we're going to present you, Mary, with this certificate. It's all right, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Mary is a great become parliamentary patron for the French days of very good at maths. That's less than £2 a week in 4 minutes. So we've got plenty more forms if you'd like to fill in joint tonight. If not, we'll be cheering in after this. But well done, Mary, thank you very much. Take care. Where Grenfell is, and I've also just been asked a survivor from Grenfell who would like to say a few words. People happy for her to speak. Okay. And then we'll round off with Ed. Okay, Ian, despite his accent, he's not a bad lad. Right, Ian, cheers.
Thanks very much, Dave. They said tonight Ian Sadiq Khan hasn't turned up. Would you mind saying a couple of words? I thought, oh great. Thanks very much. I'd also just like to, my name's Ian Henderson. I'm a North Kensington councillor. My name's Ian Henderson. I'm a North Kensington councillor. My ward is Colville, which is home to the Notting Hill Carnival. Thank you very much to the bouncer, much appreciated. But as I was saying, we've also got the mangrove steel band. And what the Marras is all about and what it means to me is people coming together. people, when there's nobody else there, when there's no help coming from anywhere, you can turn round and there's somebody there at your back, right? And let me tell you, the Mangrove have been there for Grenfell, right? Let me tell you that. The reason I say that, the leader of humanity for Grenfell, Clary Mendy, an amazing force in the community. She came to the council. She'd lost 2 in the fire and then got motor neuron disease and was given a speech at the council. And I found myself standing up like a plum going, I'll help you, not knowing what to do. So I met her afterwards and I said, Clary, what can I do for you? She said, I need a new flat, I need a new bed, I need some money, and I need a holiday. I went, I'll do that. Not having a clue what I was going to do. But of course I did have a clue, didn't I? I turned round to my fellow ward councillor, Nadia Nail, Monica Prest, Pat Healy from the National Union of Journalists. Then I went down to the Battersea and Wandsworth Trades Council. And we said, we know what we're going to do. We're going to do a bike ride, Portobello in Edinburgh to Portobello in London. And we did that. The RMT paid for the train fares. The GMB paid for the hotels. All of trade unions stood up, and the Labour Party, and showed that when you're on your own, you're not on your own, we're there for you. Now, Clary, God love her, she passed away the other day, but we, when you're at the bottom end of the tree, we don't forget. It was her year anniversary. And when Clary died, I wrote a poem. When she died, I couldn't help it. I'm not a poet, and I'm not going to say it, right? And they asked me to read it at the funeral, and then they asked me to read it the other night under the Westway, when we had the year anniversary of her death. And I just want to read that for you now, because I think the spirit of this is the spirit of us, and it's called The Good Green Heart. We were warriors, the 2 of us. We'd both been in the fight. We were warriors, the 2 of us. We watched Grenfell in the night. We took the train to Scotland and we sang with the men in kilts. And we took the train back home again to see what wasn't built. What wasn't built was a lack of love, of trust and understanding. And we stood under the Grenfell Tower, where the good love was left hanging. The blackened shell, our blackened hearts, the badness of their intentions. But it's up to us to right the wrongs and smash their bad conventions. You knew no fear, you stood up strong and you gave what you could give. And we meet at the Grenfell Tower so the good green heart may live. Now we as warriors must now part, as angels take your flight. But I, the warrior, still remain to carry on your fight. Your soul swung back to Africa, Gambia, Bissau and Yaoundé, beyond the fields of pain and grief to the wonderland beyond you. May your soul fly free and sing the song of happiness for long. For humanity it needs it, so we sealed the warrior's bond. But now, my love, we say goodbye, today but not forever. For we shall meet again one day, in the land of never, never. The point of that, when we finished our bike ride and we arrived at Portobello, who was there with the steel pans? The Mangrove. Right. Thank you for listening to us. I'm now going to pass you across to Emma O'Connor, who is one of the Grenfell survivors.
I don't usually do this, but I just want to say thank you to the Fire Brigades Union for just standing by us and the Mangrove community. I've only just realised how strong this. So amazing, and the Mangrove community has been part of my life for years. I used to enjoy going to Carnival, and North Kensington Fire
It's all right. Deep breaths. Ready?
Sorry.
You can do it.
No, it's fine. When I was 16, I signed a petition to keep North Kensington Fire Station open, which I'm really glad I did.
Yeah.
Well done.
Carrie was today's announcement was just really should have been an email to all of us instead of just your solicitors. So he just, well, I know he's not exactly your boss, but he's the one in charge, so he should really be more caring. He just doesn't. Labour is absolutely amazing. So thank you to everyone.
Well done.
Thanks everybody. She just wanted to say a big thank you to all the trade unions and the Labour Party for all your support.
Yeah, definitely.
I am sure that was tremendous. That's what it's all about, coming and people standing together. Thanks very much. Brought the Labour leadership back to Durham after 20 years of absence, despite repeated invitations to the leadership to be on strike that they chose not to. But Ed came and the reception was tremendous. It was unbelievable. The people were so delighted to see him there. It was one of the happiest days of my life to see the reception he got from people in Durham. Ed is an MP in a coal mining area, a place where I actually started work, which unbelievably lost its seat last year, the year before. It's incredible what's happened. But we need people like Ed leading the fight, particularly with the issue of the energy situation, because he's leading the way on actually wiping the floor with the opposition. Ed, it's over to you, brother.
Thanks, David. Well, look, can I just say what a privilege it is to have the chance to speak to you here tonight. And I just want to thank Emma again for her incredibly moving words. Let's hear it for Emma, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, please. I also want to thank our sort of chief organiser for tonight, my very, very good friend, Davey Anderson. Let's hear it for Davey for putting together this event tonight, everyone. I want to thank all the other speakers that we've heard from. I also want to pay a particular tribute and thanks to all of our trade union friends who are here tonight, who are such an important part of our movement. Let's hear it for all the trade unions who are represented here this evening. So friends, I think lots of people in this room would agree with the following statement, that I made lots of mistakes as Labour leader. But don't cheer all at once. But one thing I do not regret is being the first Labour leader for 23 years to go to the Durham Miners Gala. And you know, this is, and I think it's easy to not really know the history, but the history is so teaches us. Because, and I'm going to be corrected when I go wrong here, but the history is of, it was a bond that the miners faced, wasn't it? It was the bond, which was a form of slavery that the miners faced. And it was the protest against the bond in 1869, which began in 1869, that led to the first big meeting in 1871, and then the end of the bond in 1872. And that tells you so much, friends. I mean, that tells you about struggle, it tells you about progress, and it tells you about solidarity. And it also tells you something about us. It tells you something about us, that here we are 150 years on, and we are marking what those people did back then in 1869 to say this will not stand. And we should learn from that today. And I want to make, this is a serious gathering, so I want to make 3 relatively serious remarks about politics. The first remark is this, which is, if you look at our society today, and you look at the deep inequality we face as a country, and you look at the climate crisis we face, look at all of those things, and think back to what those people did in 1869. And they were saying something very significant. They were saying, this economic system does not work for us and does not work for our community. It is different, but it is true today, friends. It is absolutely true today. And if you look at all of these challenges, how can you think anything other than we need to have a politics of transformation? Because only a politics of transformation can meet the moment. That's the first thing I want to say to you. The second thing I want to say to you is this. I thought Mary spoke brilliantly. Where is Mary? I thought, let's hear it for Mary, everyone, because I thought she spoke brilliantly. But there's something really important you've got to understand. You see, when I was facing David Cameron, he would say, look, the analysis of the left about society is just wrong. We don't face these deep inequalities. He would deny these inequalities. Johnson is different. This is why Johnson is dangerous. Because Johnson says, yes, we do face these inequalities, and I'm the person to tackle them. Now, we know that is total nonsense, but that's what we've got to expose. Because communities all around our country, and it's since Brexit, essentially, it began before Brexit, of course, are asking the question, well, maybe Johnson is the person who can solve these challenges. But look at the evidence, friends. I mean, look at the evidence of the last few months that he can't deliver. What happened on social care? What happened on rail and the broken promises? What happened on universal credit? His refusal to act on fire and rehire. All of those things. But we're not going to win that automatically. We've got to take that fight and show Johnson cannot deliver for any of our communities. And the last thing, friends, is this, which is, so I'm the guy now responsible in the Labour Party for tackling the climate crisis, right? The climate crisis and tackling it, of course, is about avoiding disaster, avoiding the disaster that future generations will face. But it is about much, much more than that. Because in rising to this challenge of the climate crisis, in rising to tackle this challenge, we can and we must transform our economic system. You see, it's not just about avoiding disaster. It is about ending fuel poverty in our country. Because we can do that. Are we really going to say that we're going to change the way we heat our homes and we're still going to have millions of people in fuel poverty in our country? No, we are not. It is about a vision of ending fuel poverty. We're going to transform our economy. And that is about millions of good jobs at decent wages with proper trade union rights up and down our country. And it is about so much more. It is about a new deal for workers. It is about a transformation of our economy. And that is what we've got to be about. And the last thing I'll say is this, which is, this is about solidarity. This is about our work together. And this slogan, which Mary quoted, is so important. That the past we inherit, the future we build. And you know, I came into politics, I'm now an old geezer actually. Not compared to some people in the room, Len, but a relatively old geezer. And you know, I remember politics, I came into politics in the 1990s, right? And the politics in the 1990s, and it's hard to remember this now, the spectrum of possibilities was less wide. It didn't feel the same as it feels today. I think the future could be very scary. I think if you look at Trump, if you look at Johnson, it is scary. But I also think that there is a mood for change in this country, which means we can build something very, very different. And that, friends, is our job. That's what we have to do together. in solidarity and with the Durham miners. Thank you very much.
Okay, folks, I'm the only one between you and your dinner. Right, so we'll have the main course now. While they're serving the main course, please keep putting your hands in your pockets, buying the raffle tickets, fill the envelopes. When